Welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus, to another analysis and breakdown of the Quran of the Muslims. Yes, we're back once again to break these things down verse by verse into factual, logical statements in English so that you and I can understand who or what is Allah, what does he mean by the contents of his books here, and more importantly for us as non-believers, how does this affect us in our lives today? So before I start, as I always do, I'm going to kindly ask you, if you have any doubts or questions as to my factual accuracy, please first buy and read these. Once you have done so, you will recognise every single word I'm about to tell you now is 100% true and accurate of what Muslims believe today, and the effect this will have on us in our lives here. So let's carry on where we left off. We went through Al-Fatiha, which is the opening prayer, mysteriously was added far later. Now that has set the scene, we're going to start reading through Al-Baqarah, the heifer, which is the first proper full surah, and many Muslims believe is the main teachings of the Quran. Modern historical and archaeological records indicate that this has been completely plagiarized from an older, much better scripture in the Torah. But there is a good reason, aside from that, why Muslims are so obsessed with this idea of the evil cow, the unholy cow. And that's what we're going to be discovering as we read through Al-Baqarah, setting the stage so that we can understand why they hate Christians and Jews so thoroughly. The surah begins with Allah detailing some of the commandments and the methods which his Muslims will have to use in order to live their lives, and then he gives a parable which is very similar to one we find in the Old Testament. Al-Baqarah was written hundreds of years after the Old Testament version, called Genesis. According to Al-Baqarah, the place where Adam originally fell to is listed here with this red arrow, and then they travelled up northeast towards Egypt. And as we know, things don't go too well for Allah and his Muslims during their time in Egypt, as they are roundly defeated by the slave Israelites led by Moses through the appearance of God's miracles. But that isn't the way that the Muslims will tell it, so let's go back to the Quran and see what the Muslims have to say. In my opinion, this is the root of Islamic anti-Semitism today, Allah's failing prophecy and the defeat by the Egyptians at the hands of Moses and God's miracles. So let's have a look. In the Quran version, God doesn't actually create Adam or Eve. What happens is Allah finds Adam already in the garden, and he speaks to him. He surrounds Adam with his angels, and he speaks to him and says, "Oh Adam, I could teach you the hidden secrets of heaven and earth. Once I do so, you will be higher than the highest angel. You will basically be like the king of heaven." Doesn't that sound interesting? And Adam goes along with this and learns the hidden secrets, surrounded by Allah's angels who also learn these secrets. However, some undescribed thing happens. Presumably he eats the apple from the tree, and then he is ejected along with Allah and Satan and lands upon the earth in order to be human. Adam therefore becomes the world's first Muslim, despite that the appearance of Mohammed is thousands of years after this, and also the children of Israel get a mention. So immediately we start to hit some problems, and Allah starts to describe the curse of Islam, that women have to be completely covered head to toe, be obedient to their husbands, and the husbands have to have many wives in order that they can have many children, but never forget that they have to worship Allah, and He will always be behind them, He'll always be watching, and it's like a malevolent tone that He takes. Since I've already covered the verse-by-verse breakdown and reading of this entire book in a previous episode, if you're interested to hear that, then I think it's episodes 4 up until 10. But there are a few particular things I think are worth remembering, and the first of which I'm going to read you, which is Allah disease. Now, not a lot of people know this, but Allah actually very early on in Al-Baqarah, it's actually in verses 9 and 10, claims that He gives everyone who doesn't believe in Him a disease, and this disease affects them in the mind and in the heart. So let's read those verses and then we can try and understand what that means. Verse 9. Fain would they deceive Allah and those who believe in Him, but they only deceive themselves, those non-believers, and they just do not realise it. In their hearts is a disease, and Allah will increase this disease, and grievous is the punishment that they will incur, because they are only lying to themselves. So what Allah is saying here is everyone who believes in Allah, this doesn't apply to, everyone who doesn't believe in Allah, He's going to give them this disease, and it will be a grievous punishment for them. And the disease is going to be in their hearts, locked and sealed in, and it's going to cause them to be deluded. And the delusion it's going to cause them is that they will no longer believe that Allah is God. So, I'm not making this up. 100% of this is out of the Quran. If you don't believe me, check those previous videos and read it, buy it and read it yourself. But you can see the problem with this verse. After having set the scene for Adam and Eve to fall to earth, the first thing Allah is going to ensure that happens is that everybody is worshipping Allah. But He knows that everyone is not going to be worshipping Him, despite that He said that it's a straight path and that nobody's going to have any free will. So the way that He gets round this is by saying those who don't believe in Him are actually doing what He wants anyway. He's mind controlling them through Allah disease in order that they're deluded, and the delusion just so happens to be that they will have other religions and gods and they will not believe in Islam. Another key point which is definitely worth remembering is that the appearance of Allah and Satan just so happen to coincide. And when Allah leads Adam down to earth, He does so alongside Satan, and then the story is taken over by Satan. Satan's the one that does the talking, until they reach the earth and he starts preaching to Adam about Islam, and then all of a sudden Allah is there. So one could be led to believe that Allah and Satan are sharing the same personality, just with a different face. But that's just daily Corvid speculation based on the writings in the Quran. The text does suggest that. The narrative finally ends with an insult to the children of Israel, and Allah claims that He has a pre-existing covenant with these children of Israel, despite the fact that Adam and Eve has just landed and there has been no time to develop humanity's numbers. In the words of Allah, the children of Israel are already on planet Earth by the time Adam arrives, and they are breakers of the covenant with Allah, and this is a seed that is planted in order that we're going to hate on them later on in the story. Lastly, you may be forgiven for thinking, well, Eve got away with one there, didn't she? Because I'm sure in the Christian book and in the Jewish book, Eve was the one that took the apple, learnt the hidden secrets, and caused the fall from heaven. However, she doesn't even warrant a mention from Allah, as He now turns His steely gaze onto the children of Israel and starts declaring in memories of the past how He is going to punish them. I.e., He says, "Remember your deal with me, and know that a day is coming when nobody will help you, and you shall not be able to escape the punishment that comes for you. Remember that we saved you from Egypt, who enslaved you and killed your sons, and all you could do is have disbelief in Allah." Which I find incredibly strange, since none of that stuff has happened yet. As we know, Adam and Eve have only just arrived, and there are no other humans on Earth. And that brings us up to the beginning of the Moses story. So we've had Adam and Eve, we've had a mention of the children of Israel. Allah has set out the conditions under which people must worship only Him, and what happens to people who don't worship Him, and He has even given a name to the people who don't worship Him, the children of Israel, though they are not in existence quite yet. In summary, the timeline goes like this. At the beginning, Allah happens upon Adam in the garden, speaks to Adam, surrounds him with his angels, convinces him to take on these hidden secrets, although he doesn't specify who hid the secrets from him and why he needs to reveal them to Adam and the angels. After having revealed these secrets to Adam and Eve, this angers God and they get thrown out of the garden into earth. And the first person they meet, having been led down by Satan, is Allah. Allah makes them worship him and tells them they'll be punished if they don't, and that they have to continue using the secrets that he has taught them, and also that they have to follow his particular customs, otherwise they'll be punished with death. So, I think that's all we're going to have time for today. And what we'll do is, the next episode we'll go through the Moses bit, and we'll go into Moses going through the holy cow sacrifice that angers Allah, and then the resulting prophecy that Allah gives, in which he's going to destroy Israel and kill all the children of Israel, all the Jews, and proclaim the world as the bounty of Allah once again, and it will be owned by Muslims. Although this is not what we see in the current day, so that prophecy was obviously extremely incorrect. But we'll get to that in the next episode. So that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed that and you learned something. God bless you all. And I'll see you lovely people in the next one. Bye now. Oh, what a coincidence that they have recently removed these verses from Koran.com and replaced them with a romanticised version. But if you'd like to hear the full truth punch of Islam and Allah's failed prophecy, hit me back here tomorrow. Until then, have a lovely day. God bless you all. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Bye.